Hello, fairy finders and fairy seekers. Welcome to FaerieQuest and another episode of, well, this is new. I'm calling this episode Real Anomalies in Antique Photos. Backstory on this: back in 2004, I started a paranormal website called Night Watchman Chronicles. The website ran until I shut it down in 2017, deciding to go on a whole new path. I do still have a lot of the photos and stories and pretty much everything that was ever put on the Night Watchman Chronicles I still have on flash drives. So since this is a real photos, usually fairies that I'm looking for, I wanted to share with you what I have found in some antique photos that I went looking for in different antique shops. It is amazing what you can find if you're looking. Make sure you stick it out to the end because some of the best photos are towards the end of the video. Before we get started, make sure to grab that magic wand and zap that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and consider buying me a coffee using the link in the description box below. All right, are you ready? They're so cool. This photo was sent by Jerry to Night Watchman Chronicles. As you can see, it's a gentleman with a girlfriend or wife standing in front of a building of some kind, standing in front of some shrubs. And it is an interesting picture and makes me wonder what the photographer thought, or even what this couple thought when they saw this picture. Now, she actually looks like she could be a bride, but she is not wearing a wedding dress. I don't believe they were getting married in this picture. She does have a longer dress, a different style dress because of the time period of this photo. I don't believe she was actually meant to be in like a long wedding dress. Was this an anomaly from the guides showing what was going to happen? Or was this a sign that maybe something was going to happen to her and she was protected? We'll never know, will we? This is a photo of a train wreck that took place in Green Mountain, Iowa. The photo on the left is the small photo that came out of the newspaper. I've enlarged it on the right and put a circle around the anomaly. Now, you might think that what I'm showing you here is smoke. However, by the time these photos were taken, any smoke, any fire, anything, it had been done for days. And cleanup was beginning, but they hadn't reached this portion of the train wreck yet. So what you're seeing here is a mist, and there were a lot of people that died and were injured on this train wreck. Although now it's been a long time, I cannot remember the exact numbers. Is this the soul or the souls of some of the people that were actually killed in this train wreck? It's intriguing, and I wish the photo was better, but back in those days, the newspaper photographs weren't always that great. Here is a photo that was found in an antique shop. What I'm looking at here are the white blobs on the bottom by the feet of the guy on the left. Now, you might think these are water spots. You might think it's, well, whatever happens to old photos over time. However, the original photo, there is no water spot. This was a part of the photograph, actually within the photograph. I might have dismissed this photo as being basically nothing, but if you look at the larger white blob, you will see that it has a glow coming off of it pretty much all the way around. And that glow kind of creeps up the guy's leg on the left-hand side there. They could be orbs, and I know orbs come in all shapes and sizes. Believe me, with Night Watchman Chronicles, I have hundreds of photos of orbs from people. So this could be an orb. I don't feel as though these, and I'm going to call them orbs, were actually at the scene of this photo. at least not with the men that are standing by what I believe is a tent. It looks like these were coming in to right in front of the camera lens pretty much, towards the bottom and up. That's just a guess. They just don't look like they belong in this photo. I'm thinking they were with the photographer, not with these two guys. This is another antique shop find, and you might think that there's really nothing spectacular or unusual about this photo, but do you see the oddly shaped ribbon above the old man's head, kind of hovering over both he and the boy? Ribbons are not unusual in the ghostly realm of anomalies. Orbs and ribbons and rods, whatever they are, it's an energy of some sort. They can show up pretty much anywhere. This one seems to be hanging out right above. There doesn't seem to be anything that it is attached to. Is it a ghostly anomaly? I'm going to say yes, but I can't say for absolutely certain. What do you think? This is actually how I found this photo in the antique shop with this interesting shape. But what drew me were the anomalies within the photo. And I'm saying anomalies because there is more than one. There is the obvious mist on the right lower part of the picture, which to me kind of looks like a leg and a foot. And then there is the one that the arrow is showing you that looks more like a line. But if you follow it up, it stays a little hazy and foggy a little further up. Also, if you pay attention to the tree that is under the bell tower, underneath that tree, you can see the shadow of that tree on the steps. But if you look above that shadow suddenly stops, and something else that looks like the head, hair, eyes, and upper torso of someone, not a physical someone, is beneath that tree. It is also seeming to block part of the lower branches of that tree. So this photo was one that obviously I could not leave behind. Where this church is located, I have no idea because there's usually nothing written on the photograph or on the back of the photograph. However, as you can see, it looks like this church has a following. This antique store find, I think, is another church, although I'm not positive on that. What caught my attention were the blurs in the lower portion of the picture. And it is amazing how much easier these are to see in person. But doing the best I can here to share with you, I've enlarged the lower left side of the picture and I've left the right side alone. I can't quite distinguish that one well enough. At any rate, on the left side, what we're seeing in the enlarged photo is there hazes around this telephone pole. And to me, where I have the red arrow pointed downward in that enlarged photo, I can see a face and what I believe looks like someone in a nun's habit. I think these are people, more than one, maybe more than 3 or 4 or 5, but we can't quite make out their shapes except for that one person. So these are what I look for in the old photos, is just odd anomalies. And I could be totally wrong about the nun habit. Let me know what you think of this one, what you're seeing. This antique shop find was one of the weirdest ones I think that I have come across. Did these two boys, have a huge amount of static electricity between them? Or are they connected by cobwebs? Which obviously is highly doubtful. But this is a really interesting photograph because it really does look like they are connected by strands of white energy. If you look closely at the enlarged picture, you can even see fingers coming off of the larger strands, branching off like you would imagine or see lightning doing? Obviously, this isn't as bright as lightning, but you got to admit, it's a pretty odd picture. Another oddity of this picture is the hand of the boy on the left that is amongst that static electricity or energy. It doesn't look right. If you see the other three hands, the boy on the right, both his hands are very clear, and the boy on the left, he's got one hand hanging on the outside of his body, looks fine, but the hand in the static looks very weird. So is he the one that is creating that for the picture just as a joke? Interesting thought. I'd love to hear what you think. This picture and the next one that you'll see are of the same house. And I know this because the wallpaper is exactly the same, and the rug by the piano in this one is the same in both pictures. Now, it makes me wonder if these photographs were taken by someone who was having haunting activity in their house, and they called in a photographer to see if they could actually get anything that might explain the haunting activity. Now, this is just speculation, of course, but to get two orbs like this in a single photo is amazing. The one on the carpet, if you look closely, it's very thick around the edging. And of course, you can tell that the larger one on the stairs is a double circled one. Now, if there's a photography anomaly that would explain this and you know about it, please let me know. But all these years, I have looked at these as orbs, very interesting orbs in a very old house. This second picture was obviously taken to show the orb that was hovering on the chair. Or maybe they never saw the orb until after the photograph was taken. This chair is right across from the piano you saw in the first picture. And this thing couldn't glow any brighter than it is right now. If you look at the enlarged photo, you can actually see the glow in spikes around this orb. So it makes me wonder, again, if this person, whoever owned the house, just brought in a photographer to find out whether or not they could see anything that would say, hey, we're haunted. Now, being concentrated on the orb sitting on the chair, did you notice the orb that is in front of the column, the front column, up towards the ceiling or the top of the picture? Part of it is overlapping the column, and it is bright. It's also over the corner of the picture in the background that hangs on the wall. Now, whether or not this is caused by, say, an overhead light, I do not believe so, because I believe the lighting was the lighting in kind of the hallway by the stairs. I don't believe there was lighting in this piano room that we could see in the overhead ceiling. This seems a little far down from the ceiling anyway, but go back and look at the other picture and see what you think. I don't believe that there is a light there. But anyway, we have one orb for sure, and possibly two that are pretty phenomenal. So this house, I would say, has some spirit activity. These last two photographs were sent to us by a gentleman named Tim. He was a regular on Night Watchman Chronicles. And as you can see in the photograph, though not as clearly as though you were holding it in your hand, there are faces in the tree and perhaps elsewhere within the photo. Now, before reacting, let me read to you the postcard back that was attached to the picture postcard you see on the screen. It says, August 17th, 1925. We'll send 2 cards that show spirit faces on them. I have quite a variety of them that were taken by the spirit photographer last fall after the camp season was over. I had my pictures taken twice while there, once for postcards and once for large photographs. Don't know results yet. Okay, so obviously the woman who got these postcards Even though she doesn't have her results, she got postcards that had spirit faces in them. So she is believing in what she is seeing here. So let's go to the second photo. Now this postcard shows disembodied heads floating on the trees again, and also kind of out in the open amongst the trees. If you can see the lettering at the bottom of the card, it says Grove Meeting Ground, Camp Chesterfield, Indiana. And we'll get to that in a minute. So the postcard says, Monday, August 17th, 1925. Dear Sister Bessie, I've had some photographs taken, but haven't seen results yet. There are scenes taken by a spirit photographer, A. Norman, last fall on this ground, and as you see, spirit faces appear. He has many pictures, very wonderful, and many love his work. Will write more later. Wish you were here. Now this photograph maybe should have gone first. I don't know what order she actually made them in. But at any rate, again, she is very convinced that these photographs are real, and she's paid money to have photographs taken of herself in, I don't know, do they get to choose the location that they have the pictures taken? Whatever the case is, this woman really believed. Camp Chesterfield, Indiana really does exist. And when I looked it up, I found it said Camp Chesterfield was founded in 1891 and is the home of the Indiana Association of Spiritualists located in Chesterfield, Indiana. Camp Chesterfield offers spiritualist church services, seminary and mediumship, faith healing, and spiritual development classes, as well as psychic readings for patrons. So it is an actual place. And these pictures were taken in 1925, or at least the postcards were sent in 1925. Who's to say? So if you'd like to dig into spirit photography a little bit more, I did find a 108-page book put out by Bowdoin College Museum of Art. It's called The Disembodied Spirit, and it's free to read online. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. It's got really good information, and it's really got some amazing photographs also. So you might want to look into that. All right, that is it for this video. I do hope you've enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your comments. Until next time, take care.